Hey everyone, CPAT here with another Exceed commentary. And this, in fact, is not a regular commentary. This is a post commentary because we are looking at MiX. Thank you to MiX for submitting this video. You submitted this video a couple weeks ago. I'm only just getting to it now. But we are going to be watching a quarterfinals match that happened between MiX and Shelby. Unfortunately, you may or may not already know who's won this match because I may or may not have already posted the semifinals of this side of the bracket. You can check that out and lots of other commentaries on my YouTube channel. But yeah, looks like we're gonna have MiX here playing the melee end. This should actually be interesting. I've never actually seen footage of MiX playing with his hand revealed, so it should actually be interesting to see how another top player plays the game, because we're going to have, of course, that inside peek, being able to see his hand. Looks like we're going to have MiX here on the melee end versus Shelby on the Cammy. Have I casted Shelby before? I feel like I have casted Shelby before. I think I casted them in a one-off game in Jungi's Japes Returns, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really remember if I casted them. Actually, no, I definitely did cast one of their earlier round, maybe a round one or a round two game. For them, looks like MiX will be going second against Shelby's Cammy. Interestingly enough, Shelby's team, I believe, is something like Cammy, Polar, Rachel. So I think I actually have casted Shelby. Like, I did a post-comm of their round one match of his round one match. I did a post-comm of. So yeah, we're doing another post commentary here today. Mei Lian just not. I mean, if you're watching these videos, you've seen a lot of Mei Lian. So you guys know what she's about and how good this character can be. Looks like we're gonna see MiX mulligan perhaps the dive and the Raijin knife away. Nope, actually keeps the Raijin knife, just mulligans the dive away. So yeah, the video was shot by MiX, and once again, so thank you to MiX for submitting this to me for me to commentate over. Hopefully looks like the quality is good and everything's good as far as that's concerned. Hopefully that doesn't drop too much. Halberdier looks like a hell of a card against Cammy. We'll just say that right up front. With Cammy having a billion dive shapes, a card like Halberdier feels like it's just so crucial to this matchup in particular. Not that Halberdier is not insanely broken against most other characters, but into Cammy especially, all of Cammy's stuff makes her advance at some point, except for DP. Looks like Cammy turn one boosting that slide, so those I believe the normals have advanced 2, advanced 3. I actually can't 100% remember. MiX is not zooming in on the boost there. Obviously, he's more focused on playing this game 2 weeks ago, as Million boosts that lightning strikes twice. Cards that we can see hit here. Fujin Drum basically will cover anything that Cammy threatens to throw, because we don't have the even if a card like not EX Critical Spiral Arrow was on deck, a guarded dive, Fujin Drum has the property of pushing the opponent away. So that's definitely one of the main threats here. Although, what was that? That just popped up. That was weird. Although the before advance on Cammy's normals means that a lot of the stuff will be faster than Fujin Drum. However, we see that MiX has drawn EX Halberdier. It's a little bit of a waste, I feel like, this early, but maybe it's okay. Nope. MiX actually going to be boosting that reach, +1 range now strike, discarding the Fujin Drum and now threatening anything that hits at range 3. MiX in particular has gone for the Halberdier, which makes sense here because with the before advanced clause on Cammy's normals, well, Halberdier just says LOL, okay, fine. Just another advance that Cammy has, and thus her blind spot to Halberdier's just extreme. Looks like Shelby's opting for the wild swing. That Halberdier will beat the dive cleanly. Moreover, that slide boost will be discarded because a normal attack was played. Finally, that Halberdier, because of lightning strikes twice, will be returned to MiX's hand. So if 2 Halberdiers were enough, now we have 3 of them. They'll just like randomly they'll randomly stuff anything Cammy wants to throw. At range 5, at range 4, at range 3. I have no idea how Cammy deals with Halberdier other than parrying it, honestly. And if you parry one, well, you have to be worried about the second one with increased range as well. So, good luck with that, man. Good luck with that. Anyways, it's back to Shelby, I believe. Shelby will boost run, moving to range 2. Cammy not super well known for range 2, but with that known Halberdier in hand, Cammy has to get as close as she can. MiX just opting to prep. Pretty standard gameplay there. Of course, that EX Halberdier at speed 6 is a threat, but I don't think that's going to be thrown unless the circumstances are so dire that EX Halberdier needs to be spent. Cammy doesn't really have a lot of a range 2 game anyway. And with no crit available, that crit Spiral Arrow, which is a card that we look at a lot for Cammy because it's so good. That crit Spiral Arrow is not even a threat as of yet. So with MiX prepping, it's back to Shelby now. Notably, that Raijin Knife in discard means that the second one, whenever MiX will draw it, will have extra range, thanks to Melian's UA, which I think I've discussed to death at this point. Just with the amount of Melian gameplay that we've seen as we reach the final stages of the Dream Match tournament. Of course, all characters are legal for some reason, and so we've seen Melian players just dominate the field thus far, unsurprisingly. Well, I mean, they're strong players, but when you have a character like Melian legal in a format like this, you know, it's not okay. There we go, as the reading comes out there. Very well read. Shelby gets the assault, beating the dive. Notably, that dive in the discard means that second one will have extra range on it. Cammy now boosting CQC acrobatics, so attacks at range 1 do not hit her. This will drop to gauge at the end of her next turn. Makes just opts to prepare in response. So Cammy does have a strike here if she wants. No, just opts to prep and then drops the CQC boost. That's seems like a little bit of a waste there, huh? It's like a scuffed key charge, except CQC is just such an important card. Melian will discard one copy of that Raijin Oath, giving that second one extra range, which is in hand, as we can see, to back up to. Melian likes her space, because, well, obviously we already know that Shelby already knows that the Halberdier is in hand, and that's the combat card that's just always going to win, and especially when you tack on that EX, that second Halberdier. You know, two Halberdiers at range 3. What is Cammy gonna do against this? I have no idea. In theory, at range 3, Cammy can't do anything. At range 2, she has an option to trade in Spike, I guess. Funnily enough, because not range 3, however, because Halberdier does push one. Looks like a backstep or hooligan combination. A retreat up to 3, then strike. Cammy retreating to range 5, so this screams what? The Razor's Edge Slicer. Don't think it was crit though. Does anything else hit? I think that's the only one that has advance 4 on it. I think. I don't know Cammy's kit well enough. Maybe there's one more. MiX obviously just checking that discard to see what cards have extra range on it. That Fujin Drum has extra range. Is now a 1-5/2/5, so that's looking pretty spicy. However, notably, if it is the Razor's Edge Slicer, was it crit? Actually, it wasn't crit, was it? No, it wasn't. It wasn't a crit Razor's Edge Slicer. No, it's gonna be the Gyro Drive. Okay. MiX successfully calling out the Gyro Drive there. Well done. I know very little about Cammy. That was a full value Gyro Drive had MiX not played the focus. Because Gyro Drive, of course, has the property that attacks at range 4 or 5 do not hit you. Sorry, I should have seen that one coming, folks. It's my bad. It's just been so long since I've played against Cammy, and Cammy is one of those few characters that I don't play, so I do have a little bit of a blind spot for her, and I can't look at the kit readily. But no, that Gyro Drive would have been 12 damage if MiX were to be able to be pulled. Looks like MiX just striking with the Halberdier now. The Halberdier that just wins all combats. Yeah, MiX calling out that Gyro Drive's very nicely. Of course, Gyro Drive has the property of when your opponent's in the corner, suddenly Gyro Drive randomly does like 12 damage. Like that. Because Cammy will just pull you as far as possible. to the other side of the corner, and she gets +1 power for each space pulled. MiX calls that out with the focus. Also would have beat the Razor's Edge Slicer there, which is another option, but especially when it's not crits. That Gyro Drive Smasher at 2 gauge when 2 gauge was available was, I guess, a little bit telegraphed. Not to us, though, because we forget all of Cammy's cards here on this channel. Because we don't really get to see, honestly, we don't even get to see any Cammy. Shelby was the only player who entered this tournament with Cammy. Shelby, considering here whether this is basically Halberdier or Spike is the mix-up from that Melian's throwing, basically. Like, it could be Assault to gain advantage, but then, like, Melian would be at range 1, and she much prefers staying further than range 1 just because of her extra range. Shelby looking at those cards actually will not really matter so much. Okay, Cammy just opts to block, and it is the Halberdier. So 4 power Halberdier coming through. Good block there from Shelby. Really nothing that could have been done there. It's got to be like block if you want the gauge, or just wild swing. And MiX is not really a player that's going to throw out Spike there in most cases. MiX is a relatively safe player. Doesn't really play mix-ups unless he has to. So that Halberdier is like very much a mix play. Cammy boosting speed at +2 at range 4. Well, I mean, yeah, so the Halberdier, while it does prevent advances at this range, Halberdier won't hit because the Halberdier is actually caught in gauge. Unfortunately, what does hit is a card like Raijin Oath, but no, it looks like MiX is actually gonna try to tech this one out. I didn't actually see what he played. So Cammy's skip is basically just like Guile's boost, so it will go to her gauge at, I believe, the end of her next turn. So it's kind of like an option select key charge that gives you +2 speed. Looks like Cammy's Melian's actually taking back her sweep, which she struck with. So sweep loses to critical cannonball here. At speed 5. However, Melian does have 3 gauge, so they are representing the Raijin Oath. So this is actually a little bit of a cheeky mix-up that MiX is opting into here. Doesn't want Cammy to get that 3rd gauge, get that CQC live. So yeah, MiX is taking a risk, saying you're not going to strike with critical cannonball, especially because skip is what cannonball's on, and a wild swing is just so strange. I did not expect that. I guess Shelby was just waiting for. I guess Shelby was just using that +2 speed as a scuffed key charge. So sweep. Both sweeps miss, but the threat of the +2 speed has been diffused by Melian successfully. Now Melian at range 4 is still threatening that Raijin Oath, which we've seen in hand. Notably, this is only one Raijin Oath already in the discard, which MiX spent to move back 2 at an earlier stage of this game. So Cammy is probably going to have to not stay at range. Notably, Cammy actually does have an answer to range 4 Raijin Oath in critical Razor's Edge, and also works at range 5 if that was a thing as well. So MiX can't just throw out. Unfortunately, MiX can't just throw out the Raijin Oath willy-nilly. While it's a card that wins in like 99% of the time, it's not a card that wins 100% of the time. It looks like MiX actually discards that 2nd copy of Raijin Oath to move back to MiX, maybe realizing that this is not the appropriate card in the matchup just because critical Razor's Edge Slicer exists, as well as that Gyro Drive that we saw earlier. Interestingly enough, maybe MiX is going to be using his gauge to exceed instead. Get a little bit of extra gauge, extra range, get a lot of extra power, not a little bit, on cards that have already been used and end up engaged. Shelby looking at the discards, checking what's left, maybe think of a reading play coming out. I don't really know what Shelby would be reading here. We do see a spike in MiX's hand, and we do know that I believe both spikes are still up. So that's could be like a reading spike into one of the dive shapes that she has. Nope. Cammy just gonna boost defend herself. Defend at range 3 is a little bit of a weird one, but maybe Cammy feels a little bit naked without her with her dive likes, and that's why she's boosting Spike instead. MiX just opting to prep here, says that Spike's not really a super scary thing. Let me grab more resources. This is very much a MiX play. MiX loves to prepare. So not shocking to see him do it here into that spike boost back to Cammy, who looks like she has a full... Actually, no, Cammy looks like she only has 5 cards in her hand. But so in theory, Cammy has room to prep, but she hasn't really been prepping a lot, or not nearly as much as MiX has on this Mei Lian, it feels like. So yeah, back to Mei Lian. Cammy, of course, boosting cross, moving to range 1. No gauge for CQC, which is the main threat. Cammy does have a DP. Of course, Mei Lian has a better DP. But no, Mei Lian actually just spending 2 force to move back to range 3. Really, really telegraphing that Halberdier, that second Halberdier, because, well, I mean, it's such a good card. And, I mean, Cammy does really not really have a super good way to deal with it, so why not threaten it on curve here? It is 6 power. MiX also using some of that gauge, indicating that maybe he's not thinking of exceeding just yet, although when that second Halberdier does hit, when he chooses to strike with it or retaliate with it, he'll build that third gauge that way to exceed, which seems fine, especially because he's already shown that Raijin Oath is not part of his game plan because of the aforementioned crit Razor's Edge Slicer. Back to Cammy here, thinking about boosting. Yep, boosts that second copy of Slide. Surely this means that MiX just strikes with the Halberdier, which just like wins so much. Like Slide just gets hard countered by Halberdier. I guess this means that Halberdiers don't really... I guess Halberdiers are covering slides, which means that Cammy will have dealt with the Halberdiers on front side so far. Because I don't believe Mei Lian gets recursion from Gauge without Lightning Strikes twice, which is on combat, so not really Gauge, it's future Gauge. So Halberdier is down for now. I wonder if this means that MiX will trigger a kind of early reshuffle. Although, even though Halberdiers are gone, if MiX goes for the Exceed here, then that plus 0 to 2 range is just going to stuff everything that Cammy throws. And it's not like Cammy has like a card. Does Cammy even have a card that beats Halberdier even with a defend boost? I feel like she definitely does not. I mean, she can like avoid the Halberdier by crossing to take 6 less damage. She can soak up some of the damage with focus. Okay, I mean that works. So that focus will only take 4 damage as opposed to the 6 damage that Mei Lian was threatening earlier. Actually, only 3 damage because the defend boost up in play, and Cammy gets to replace her focus as well. So actually, not the worst trade in the world. Both Halberdiers are now gone. Engage. Cammy no longer has to worry about that. So yeah, both those Halberdiers actually went to defending against Slide, which is the boost that Shelby was preferring quite a bit on his Cammy this game so far. So now Cammy can actually do Cammy things, in theory. Assuming she doesn't get outranged by Mei Lian. And we see that we're actually going to see MiX's discard. I believe he has a cross in there, yeah. So that cross will hit 1 to 3. And will pop a lot of things that Cammy throws at range 3. MiX actually taking a look to see a number of sweeps left. Sweep basically is the only thing that Cammy can throw that would beat this cross at range 3. Because everything else is too slow, and Cammy is not a character with a lot of guard on her moves. And range 3 is a little bit too close for her ranged auto dodges, which are 4 and 5 on Razor's Edge, and of course the gyro drive that we've mentioned several times before. So yeah, I mean, Cammy is not really super effective at range 3 here. She's probably gonna want to prepare, or move in or something like that to either prepare to get more cards for the future, like move in to a better range so she can attempt to hit. Yeah, but striking here as Cammy seems a little bit sketchy. She could strike with Spike in theory, to trade with the cross, and that would also trade with the... well, I mean, it wouldn't trade, but it would beat the other side of the mix-up that Mei Lian throws, which is something like an on-curve Fujin drum, or, you know, Mei Lian could, in theory, throw some slows here as well. That sweep in hand, I don't believe the sweep hit. I don't believe the other sweep has hit the gauge yet, so it's only a 1 to 3 sweep. that we see in Mix's hand. So Malian actually, or Cammy looks like she's opting to, nope. Cammy will boost that DP, moving back to range 7, saying, well, okay, nothing you have hits this far. Malian has good range, but not range 7 good range. Okay, Mix boosting Dragon's Thrash or Lightning Strikes twice. Notably, I don't think this is an on hit. I think this is just an after. Um, so Mix basically will get a gauge out of this combat no matter what. I think Lightning Strikes twice is actually just return this card to your hand, um, which is so weird. I would have expected that to be after if you hit return this to your hand. Mix looking for crosses, interestingly enough. Probably just for the boost. Cammy at range 7, of course, can't do a whole lot without the Gyro Drive Smasher available. Shelby has no gauge for it. Mix, however, can boost Tailwind, which is not a super interesting boost. I don't think a Fusion Drum is down yet, though. Mix really showing us that Tailwind. It looks like I think Mix is just excited that he gets to boost the Tailwind. He's gonna check whether anything is in discard, and yeah, he's gonna strike with that Fusion Drum 1-5, 1-5, 2-5. Of course, Tailwind is a boost that doesn't get a lot of love, but it's perfect for situations like this where opponents try to zone out Malian by being at range 7. Mix, I think, just checking to make sure that Fusion Drum isn't discarded. It is. I believe he got it in relatively early. Nothing Cammy throws will beat this Fusion Drum, I'm pretty sure, without crit. So yep, that Fusion Drum will push Malian, or will push back, push Cammy back to range 6. Cammy will take 2 damage. That Fusion Drum will return to hand courtesy of Lightning Strikes twice. And it's back to Cammy. So yeah, I mean, that Tailwind boost, while it is a little bit expensive, does clearly serve a purpose in the boost kit of Malian. Shelby looks like he's opting for the reshuffle action. Malian now thinking of boosting. Yep, she will boost, not boost, exceed. Excuse me. So now she has extra range just in time for being at range 6, where that Fusion Drum is now a 1-6, 2-5. So yeah, that Tailwind boost, as I was saying before, does in theory serve. You know, it has a purpose in Malian's kit. It's a really underwhelming boost, especially because you see boosts like Advanced 3 now strike, that kind of deal. So it looks underwhelming, and it is underwhelming as far as it being extremely overcosted. But there's a purpose to that boost in Malian's kit, and it is to prevent range 8 situations from happening, where Malian can't actually hit. However, Malian can hit at range 6 on backside really well, range 5 on front side. Can hit with Fusion Drum, and she can get even closer to her preferred range of like range 5 on backside. That seems best for her. So that Tailwind boost does have a purpose, even though it's super overcosted. Looks like these guys are just like they had. I think Shelby just gave a copy of the discard pile to Mix. Technically, you're supposed to ask, but I'm pretty sure these guys are in voice chat together. And yeah, looks like Shelby just gave a copy of the discard to Mix there. I mean, it's their room. They can do whatever they want. Normally, when you reshuffle in a tournament match, or in casuals even, you should generally ask your opponents whether they're okay with it, because they have the right to check the discard pile before you attempt the reshuffle action. There's a lot of information that you can glean from a discard like that. As Razor's Edge Slicer gets boosted, Cammy moves into range 3. Mix will just prep in response, saying, well, I mean, I have a speed 6 cross. What are you going to do about it at range 3? Don't think that Cloud Rider has extra range on it yet, as Cammy boosts light. Now Mix obviously looking for options that on offense would beat the speed 6 cross, so he looked for his assault and dive. Should also be looking for dive kick. Of course, this grasp is a 1-3. It's a 1-3, 3-7. It's an eye that pushes to. I mean, it's not an eye because it doesn't give advantage, but it's that eye shape that range 3 speed 7 option. that exceeded Melian can throw. And of course, Focus, while not being pushed away, will lose. No crit available for the crit Spiral Arrow to bring her back. Cammy pretty much loses this strike, unless she throws down an EX Assault at speed 8. But MiX, I believe, saw that one Assault was in the discard already. But yeah, that Grasp will beat the speed 6 dive. Cammy will take 3, be pushed back to range 5, where she finds herself again low on gauge. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what Cammy's gonna do here. MiX actually checking his own discard, noting that he has an EX Assault on deck. Cammy may be thinking about striking here, interestingly enough. This Fujin Drum in MiX's hand, this known Fujin Drum in MiX's hand, will actually just stuff everything. It's like, unless this is a block or something, this Fujin Drum just stuffs everything. And it is the block, okay, from Shelby, okay. So Shelby recognizing that a lot of his stuff doesn't really work at all without any amount of gauge. It really needs that crit for that crit Spiral Arrow to hit back, for example. MiX probably just gonna prep or reshuffle here, if I had to guess. Probably prepare. I think he's still got a couple good cards left, and yeah, pulls that dive, which randomly hits at range 6 as well. Cammy now moves back to range 5. Yeah, that dive will still hit, of course, at range 5 from Melian. Does Melian have other options? She does. She has that sweep, 1 to 3, becomes a 1 to 5. So this is going to be the crit Razor's Edge, which will beat out the sweep. Unfortunately for Cammy, this is the second Razor's Edge. So Razor's Edge was boosted earlier in the game to move 3. Without this threat, Cammy's range 5 becomes a lot worse against Melian, because Melian can actually hit back. Of course, Cammy at range 1 still relatively okay. Boosting defend, that Spiral Arrow will at least trade. However, I don't know, boosting defend is good and all, but I think Cammy might need a clean win or two, as MiX boosts his backstep to move back to range 3. That cross still 1 to 3, or 1 to 4, 3, 6 now. Can mix it up. Also has the mix up option with the dive there as well in his hand. Also just has the Dragon Tempest as well. So Dragon Tempest here at speed 7 would push Cammy to the other side of the wall. Melian would then be able to choose a range, so she'd probably choose range 5. Especially with, I believe, an Assault left in her deck, and I think she has options as well. I'm not... Actually, I don't remember. But yeah. That Dragon Tempest at speed 7. Melian, of course, having a 2-gauge Ultra that's range 3 at speed 7. So that Dragon Tempest, while it doesn't really shine bright in a lot of different matchups, in this one particular scenario actually looks quite good against Cammy. Just because of that push effect will basically help dodge any slower advance that Cammy wants to throw here. And then, of course, Melian can advance just the wrong amount of spaces for Cammy, and she won't be able to reach her back. So yeah, that threat looks super good here. It's not really a threat. It's more of I guess it's better as a counterplay than an actual threat. MiX looks like he's checking discard, maybe thinking of a parry. It looked like he was mousing over that block, but then chose not to do it. I wonder what he would parry. Like parry, you might as well parry like Gyro Drive at this point. Gyro Drive is the only card that can randomly beat you if you don't have focus, right? So Gyro Drive I don't think is a bad parry. Could just parry CQC, which is obviously the super scary card that Cammy has with the auto dodge at range 1. Let's see what MiX opts to parry here. Whether it's one of the Ultras or whether it's some other random tool. Like, looks like, first of all, it's not even in his hand. So interestingly enough, we'll get a hand reveal from Shelby. Looks like the CQC was parried. So we see a hand of EX Spiral Arrow, 4, 6, 7 Gyro Drive. MiX does have the focus in hand. I think he only has like 2 cards left in his deck as well, so this focus is super likely to be in hand. So Cammy needs to get rid of her normals at this turn basically. Otherwise, she's gonna get red for decent damage. Not the best damage here. But it's more of a positioning thing as well. The reading looks like Cammy will drop 2 normals to move to range. That range, okay. Yeah. So that dive is readable. But unfortunately, the thing about dive in this scenario is that with Malian in the corner, that dive will have a good chance of hitting back. So basically, with Malian in the corner, she has no like little baby advance, so pretty sure this dive will hit whatever with the defend boost. No, especially taking a look at MiX's hand. He could. Oh, okay, never mind. He could just dive. He could just dive with his own dive, because of course this dive has +0 to 2 range on it. Yep, Malian things. Just forgot about that one. My bad. Dive also gets stunned there, so Cammy can't even retaliate and move back to range 1. Unfortunately, that's just a case of Shelby keeping a no normal in hand and Malian being so busted of a character that you think that everything is covered, but unfortunately it's not. Just Malian things having a 1 to 3 dive. Just wow, actually wow. As we zoom in appropriately on this Malian portrait, look at this menace of a character, this absolute menace. Cammy finds herself at range 3. Malian has a ton of space behind her, so this cross is just free, especially with the defend boost no longer in play. Looks like these guys are having like a mid-match conversation or something. Gee, we took a quick peek there, and MiX has 4 cards left in its deck, not 2. But yeah, like what's gonna stop this cross from hitting? I have no idea from Cammy. I have no idea how Cammy is supposed to deal with this now down a bunch of life as well. Malian basically all set up. Yeah, basically just fully set up. Yeah, I have no idea how Cammy is able to come back from this game. So interesting enough, MiX has a decision whether he wants to boost with cross or just prep. He just opts for the prepare. So now he actually has actual stuff in his hand. Actually, no, at range 3, he'll be at range 6 after the cross. So doesn't really have a ton of options that hit at range 6. In fact, has none of them. So you need a range 4 option to hit at range 6. The only range 4 options that Malian has are her Ultra, which is down, and her dives and her Fujin drums. And her dive and Fujin drum are both down as well. So if Malian opts to cross here, at the very least, there's no follow-up at range 6. However, we do see that Tailspin boost in play. Of course, it doesn't actually matter when Cammy just moves to range 1. I'm assuming this is going to be a backstep boost coming from MiX, pushing back to range 5, forcing Cammy to spend more resources to come in. Backstep seems really, really strong here, in my opinion. Move back to range 5, forcing Cammy to spend more resources. The pressure game, the resource pressure game is technically on Cammy at this point, at this juncture. So that seems perfectly fine to me. This could be an also fine time to reshuffle with only 6 cards in hand. You get a perfect 7-card hand as well. MiX zooming over that Cloud Rider. Don't think that gets boosted or played. Don't know why he's zooming over that. Maybe just to troll us a little bit. Cammy only 12 cards in deck. Oh man, could this be a deck out? Could this be a Malian deck out game, honestly? With both crit, razors, edge, slicers down. Just that range 5 game is just so good for Malian. Especially with only 1 gauge. Cammy can't actually play that gyro drive, which is the other range 5 auto dodge that she has. MiX checking his own discard to see whether he wants to perhaps reshuffle here, but I think just backstep gets boosted, no? There's the backstep boost. Interesting enough, only moving to range 3. Well, now it has the EX Cloud Rider in hand. I wonder why I chose range 3 instead of range 4. Maybe there's a card from Cammy that I'm missing. Cammy is a character that's like, she's kind of weird. As far as like her preferred range goes. So preferred range is 1 when she has the Ultra threat online. She also has a DP. That's a 1-2-7 push or pull 3. But other than that, a lot of her cards function from really far away, just because a lot of her cards are dive shapes where they have advance 3, advance 4, that sort of deal on them. So Cammy does prefer that range 4 game. Unfortunately for her, Melian just seems like a way better character at those kind of ranges. But no, Mix actually opting to stay at range 3 instead. Um, wonder wonder what the reasoning behind staying at range 3 is. Is it just to set up that Dragon Tempest into the I don't know, any range 5 option that Mix can throw here. Looks like Cammy opting to strike here into the threat of the Dragon Tempest, which we know we've seen in hand for a long time now. And of course, Mix with only one card in his deck can also theoretically Wild Swing into the Dragon Tempest if he didn't have it in his hand. So I'm really wondering what kind of combat this is. With Cammy even investing a crit onto it. I guess this is the crit spell era. But that Dragon Tempest, actually, that Dragon Tempest can't dodge. Can't dodge a lot of. Oh, that Raijin Knife. That Raijin Knife will dodge the Spiral Arrow. Because Cammy only advances 4 and Raijin Knife pushes 3 spaces. Oh no, a mistake has been made from Cammy. That is huge. Completely forgot that Raijin Knife was still left in the deck. Wow. And yeah, that strike from Cammy, although we didn't think was going to be catastrophic, we forgot about that second copy of Raijin Knife, as did Shelby, I'm assuming, which just beats basically everything that Cammy throws there at range 3. So yeah, that's why Mix chose range 3. There you go. Completely forgot about that one. It's just the problem with Melian is that she has so many broken threats that it's difficult to keep track of all of them. Now strike from range 2 happening. Could this be... I don't know, EX Cloud Rider seems a little bit telegraphed. Mix just opting to strike with the regular old-fashioned cross. Not really a whole lot that Cammy can do about this. She would need basically EX cross, but I believe one cross is down. So yeah, Melian will get to hit for free here. Yeah, nothing that can be done. No gauge for the crit spell arrow. Yep, Cammy just looks like she's gonna wild swing this. She wild swings away her DP. Cammy takes 3. Melian has 19 health to Cammy's 7. Cammy's gonna get range 4, really far away. Where that EX Cloud Rider is a 7 speed threat, only does 4 damage, but it's a 7 speed threat. Melian won't mind trading, and this won't even likely be a trade anyway. Yeah, I mean, sure that EX Cloud Rider is a known threat. You can also mix it up with Spike in theory if you're a Mix. I have no idea. I have no idea how Cammy wins this game from here, from this juncture, unfortunately. Reading. Do you read the Spike? Okay, you can, sure. Reading works. Unfortunately for Cammy, it's that second Spiral Arrow that's used. Now at range 1, Mix will throw out the EX Cloud Rider because it will auto dodge to range 4. And of course, Cammy has no guarded moves at range 4, as we've been stressing before. Cloud Rider will also force the reshuffle. So I guess this is kind of a decent time for Cammy. Forcing that reshuffle, so nothing has extra range yet. Cammy taking the 2 damage because she has no force in hand, because she's been initiating too many strikes, in my humble opinion. So Cammy probably forced to prepare here, which really sucks. Yeah, there's the prepare action. Melian will now spend a bunch of gauge to do something, just to get some cards in the discard. Looking at that spread, though, nothing matches the hand. This is probably going to be like a change cards, if I'm guessing correctly. Just change cards, some valuable cards, put them in discards. Yeah, that cross goes, that Raijin Knife goes, maybe the Cloud Rider goes as well. Nope, actually opts to spend the Dragon Tempest from hand and the Spike from hand as well. Okay. Throws away the block as well, so this is going to be a change card 6, strike 7. Now we have some good cards in the discard again for Melian. That's all we need. All we need is one turn to do that. We see the hand. We see the second Fujin Drum's been drawn, so that's a 1-4, 6-5. Not a bad shape. Cammy can't really do much about that shape. Also, that hand info is now gone. We're just going to jam it into the selection bag, I guess. So we take it out. That 1 to 4 6 5 is just a shape that's just gonna annihilate Cammy for the most part. Without that crit razor's edge slicer. Although Cammy does have that GDS now, she does have Gyro Drive Smasher live. That is an option that she can throw. MiX would basically need like an assault dive shape to beat that over the traditional melee options of Fujin Drum or like Cross or something. So yeah, I believe there's one left in the deck. I think the second one was boosted. I'm not sure if it was boosted this time or last time, but Cammy at least does have the 2 gauge for that. The problem is, and then what? So this is actually something that we've seen in a lot of cases. It looks like a reading being called out here. I wonder what this is reading. Like reading sweep or if it's reading sweep into GDS, that's pretty good. Unfortunately, it looks like the reading has missed, which is no good. I wonder if it is the. I wonder if it's a reading to try to hit the GDS, and so MiX should play something like Assault to deal with that. Just to move in, or of course could just play the Halberdier, which will stuff basically any option that Cammy will throw. And yeah, that Halberdier will come out, won't hit, but will probably beat out this GDS. Yeah, we'll beat out the GDS of course because Cammy cannot move forward. So Cammy spends the gauge, and that's all she wrote for Cammy really. I'm pretty sure nothing will be able to beat this. Yep, MiX actually just checking for Cross, just doing his due diligence. Nothing will beat out this this Fujin Drum besides a block. We see both blocks are down. However, Cammy needs a focus to survive. That Fujin Drum is a 1 to 4 6 5. And yeah, basically no other threat is being thrown here. Cammy needs a Wild Swing. That's never a good sign. And of course that that Fujin Drum will pop the Cannon Spike. Will deal 6 damage, and that is game 1 going to Meilien. In a matchup that looked extremely tough. For Cammy to win, it looked like she had to really spend those resources really, really well. And even then, it didn't look like it was a matchup that was not Meilien favored or anything. It just looked like those auto dodges needed to do a lot more work than they did. And at the end of the day, I mean, when you're a character that thrives at ranges like that against Meilien, you're not gonna have a good time. Or if you're a character that depends on advanced movement into a character that has a card that says opponents cannot move closer to you, or cannot advance into you, basically. I think that's how the card would read if it was in Season 5 or Season 6. And you're a character that depends on advances, basically, in your entire kit, you're not going to have a good time. You're just not going to have a good time. And unfortunately for Shelby, this matchup, the matchup looked like it sucked. So anyway, MiX takes game 1, winning that with that Meilien. Now almost assuredly going for that Zolt. Yep, he will. Let's see what Shelby has in store. So I believe he has the Rachel Alucard, the Polar Knight, and the Cammy as well if he wants to have a second shot at that character. MiX, of course, has been running Meilien game 1 into Zolt game 2 every single game of this tournament. I don't believe he's actually lost a game in this tournament either. Oh, I guess I shouldn't have said that because this is a round 3 match, even though we've done semifinals commentary already. Oh, I do apologize. I think everyone who's watching this will know, because I'll put it after in the playlist as well. So if you're a playlist watcher, then you'll know already the results of MiX versus Shelby and MiX versus his opponent in the semifinals. But I do apologize for spoiling that, I guess. I hope you're not watching this in order. I guess that also should technically means that I really should have done this post commentary a couple weeks ago, but I just didn't really have the time or the drive really to watch a 2-hour video where I'm watching Meilien and then Zolt gameplay. We've been casting nothing but Meilien the past couple weeks, especially as we move into the later rounds of this tournament. And it's not the most fun or engaging gameplay to watch. Looks like Shelby is going to be pulling out the Rachel Alucard into the Zolts. That's going to be an interesting one, because Rachel, I feel like, also needs a little bit of time before before she really starts getting dominant. Just because Rachel as a character is really she's expensive when she's at her best. So when she's at her best, doing the things like using force to dance in, dance out, and then strike. Well, she needs a lot of resources for that. Especially in the early game, and Zolt will be perfectly happy letting you build resources because he will be building his own resources as well. So yeah, I mean, MiX's Zolt just a staple character of his. We've seen it so many times. MiX telling Shelby, take my reference. I don't want it. Shelby gonna refuse. Shelby looks like he's actually AFK. Um, MiX just gonna do it for him. Okay, Shelby looks like he's finally back. At the very least, Rachel gets to go first. However, Zolt gets to draw another card. We'll be looking for those transforms early. I mean, I guess it's cool that we'll get to see Zolt gameplay from a Zolt master by like looking at his hands. I guess that's cool. But let's be honest, guys. It's not rocket science to play Zolt. This character's not terribly difficult to play. So yeah, I think while it's I mean, I'm thankful for the opportunity to see it happen, but I guess I'm a little bit interested to see what kind of high level decisions MiX will make on the Zolt. Really, it all depends on how well things go or how poorly things go for Zolt. To see some difficult decisions being made. Looking at this hand sucks. He's gonna get a new one. Yep, he almost 6. We see one of each transform as MiX reveals the whip crack in his hand. We see one of each transform. Really, you want to have 2 in the early game just so you can EX transform. If you are playing anti-Zolt gameplay as player 1, a lot of your turn 1s look like parry cross-up. So that cross-up is in hand. Of course, Zolt would much prefer going first, so you can either prepare or you can EX transform an option if he has it. By going second, of course, he's open to the threat of an unreactable turn 1 parry. Shelby mulliganing 2, interestingly enough. Let's see if Shelby is opting for the turn 1 parry or if he does something else like perhaps a Lobelia strike or just a prepare action. Shelby does have options here. I don't think he's going to go for something as expensive as expend a force, take another action. But hey, we'll see. Yeah, Shelby mousing over the important transform there in cross up. Cross up is the vehicle by which Zolt, or rather Hunter of Men, gets the engine going. Because without it, Hunter of Men is a really expensive character, requiring a lot of force to execute the moves that he needs to ultimately win the game and set up on reactable strikes that eventually break armor with spike or like get dodged by dive, that sort of thing. But Zolt really doesn't need it, but really wants that cross up transformed as soon as possible, preferably before exceeding. Looks like Shelby actually going to opt for a strike here. Everything that Rachel throws will get dodged by cross. The wild swing cross will beat that flying Lobelia. Interestingly enough, MiX was totally okay with getting hit by the flying Lobelia, but instead finds himself at range 6, where that tiny Lobelia will be a threat. So MiX will unfortunately have to spend that second cross to move in to range 3. Could pick range 4 if he wants. No, moves into range 3. Hand's not great for range 3 as we can see, but like, who cares? You probably just wild swing again. I mean, again, Zolt in the early game, you are just really trying to hit those transforms. You don't want to take needless damage, but taking early game damage is perfectly fine when you become an unstoppable monster in the late game. Furthermore, we look at Shelby's hand, right? Shelby spent 2 cards there on that flying Lobelia because it's a force special, as MiX boosts defend at range 3. Now has that EX Blaze of Fervor to pop the whirlwind. So Rachel actually does have an option at range 6, at range 3 speed 6. That is her whirlwind. It's a 2-3 3/6 hit sustain a boost. MiX now has an answer to that in theory with EX Blaze of Fervor. What is going on there? Did Shelby just strike with a cross and then play it face down? What's going on? What kind of gameplay are we seeing here? So this cross we'll put Rachel at range 5. I mean as Zolt, you probably just play dive now, move to a closer range. If I'm guessing. Um, what kind of madness am I watching here? I've never seen someone like strike face. Oh wait, ESG is an eye. Yeah. Okay, sure. I guess it's one way to deal with it. Wasn't expecting Mix to spend the eye there. I was expecting Mix to dive in and move to range 2, but I guess that range 3 is looking really strong with that EX Blaze of Fervor in hand technically. And especially because he's playing that eye on defense, he can just prep the turn afterward as well. Now he's up a bunch of resources. Rachel does not really have a hand anymore. I believe she only has 4 cards in her hand. Yeah. Um. So yeah, a little bit rough there. I wonder if Mix is willing to just strike with this EX Blaze of Fervor. It's a decent option. It will gain advantage. The only problem is it will push him towards the corner, as Blaze of Fervor has a hit advance 3 on it. Not really a whole lot that can beat it, except for the EX Whirlwind. So you are, in theory, risking that. But you did just watch Rachel attempt to cross at range 3. So are you really worried about the EX Whirlwind? Mix says no and opts to strike with the EX Blaze of Fervor. Will almost assuredly get that first transform down as well. Although with the prep, it is like slightly more likely that EX Whirlwind has been played. And no, it'll just be focused soak damage. Mix gets his first transform down. It is the power transform, which is like the least important one. But transforms are transforms for result, and anytime you can get a transform like that through combat as well, when you're EX transforming a lot of the time, you're really getting as much value as you can out of that Blaze of Fervor, because obviously gains advantage as well, which allows Mix to draw 2 more cards with the prepare action. Back to Rachel here. She has a little bit of a full hand now, finally at 6 cards. Unfortunately, has allowed Zolt to transform one thing. Hasn't been able to parry anything either, which is kind of sad. So that cross-up is still waiting in Mix's hand. He only needs that second one before he really gets going. So as Rachel, she can do things like a jump back boost, jump back defend. She's not defend, jump back light, things of that nature. Which I've seen Shelby's Rachel before, and he really likes using that Rachel UA quite often. Moving to range 3 and boosting light, something I've seen him do quite a lot. When I fought his Rachel a couple times. Actually, I think I've only fought his Rachel once. I don't remember if we saw his Rachel on stream against Mad. I feel like we didn't. I feel like we saw his Cammy and his Polar, but maybe I'm misremembering. But he really likes using that Rachel UA to reposition quite a bit, more than I've seen other Rachel players do actually. So let's see if he opts for a line like that, especially when you see that EX Blaze of Fervor down. You're not thinking that there's an EX Assault or something like behind that. Looks like it'll be an Electric Chair prep coming out, or discarding Electric Chair for move action prep, so we'll only move 1 in prep. I wonder if Zolt's willing to risk the cross up here. He is, because that EX Cross, of course, is no longer a threat. Will Shelby have the EX Whirlwind in response to Speed 7? Beats the cross up. Mix not feeling so. Oh, was that EX Whirlwind actually drawn off the top? 2 cards drawn off the top? That sucks. Mix just falling a little bit impatient there. Really wanted to get that Hunter of Men going that turn. Unfortunately, that EX Whirlwind, a speed 7 option, a second speed 7 option at range 2 that Rachel has, and Shelby had it in hand, and oh man, that's what impatience with Zolt gets you, man. That's what impatience with Zolt gets you, man. Just boost or something. I don't know. I mean, he did, in theory, Rachel did jump back to range 2 for a reason. I guess we know what that reason was. I guess it was unlikely that reason was EX Whirlwind. Couldn't have been EX Cross because, of course, one, if not both crosses are down on the Rachel side. Man, don't take that risk though. I don't know. Not a fan of taking risks at Zolt when you could just not. And that was a risk. So Zolt will just have to wait for that second cross up to come. Or even worse, might even have to exceed without it. I guess that's not even worse. I guess exceeding is always good with Zolt. But if you're playing Hunter of Men without Battle Fugue, it's just going to be a much slower, grindier game because you don't have enough resources to fully sustain your engine as Hunter of Men. But that is such a huge combat win for Shelby, discarding that cross up in the process. This is probably going to be like another jump back prep or something. Yep, there's the jump back prep, moving to range 3 now. Is MiX thinking about striking with a dive here? Is he really thinking about playing such a risky game? In theory, he could wild hunt prep. Oh no, he just opts for the move action, spending 2 force to move to range 1. Catching. Obviously, you don't want to get zoned out by Rachel. Rachel is a character that can, in theory, zone well. That EX Whirlwind is down, but so a threat that exists is kind of like either the Lobelias exists from far away. Looks like this is going to be another jump back Fierce coming out from Rachel. Interesting enough. Jump back Fierce is an interesting one, actually. I guess you've seen MiX drop the crosses, but yeah, here comes that light. And it's just like, well, this Fierce isn't doing a whole lot into the light at range 2. It could be like a jump forward strike even. That's a play that seems alright from Rachel. It is quite expensive how much these jumps is quite these jumps. Sorry, that sentence was poorly worded. These jumps are really expensive. Looks like the tech coming out from Rachel makes sense to me. MiX now does have that EX dive on deck, but at range 2, not really going to do a whole lot. I don't this hand sucks. This hand kind of sucks. What, you can like read something? No, just opts for a simple tech. That makes more sense. Second cross up now drawn for MiX. So, I mean, if Rachel attempts to do something that's not a jump back strike, this cross up is actually going to hit at range 2. And of course, especially the way that Zolt's been playing, I mean, it's really hard to predict top decks in this game. While Zolt's been staying at range 2, he's not been striking, so it's not unreasonable to think that MiX doesn't have the cross up in hand if you're Shelby, which is tough. And you're trying to predict top decks, which is really, really difficult to do and exceed. Almost impossible, in fact. You just kind of have to hope that like your opponent hasn't drawn an option in like a certain time zone more than predict exactly when an opponent has drawn a card. So it's really tough. Rachel opting for the super jump back. Spends 2 force to jump back to range 4, and then boosts that Lotus Barrel, picking up that Whirlwind. Of course, Rachel does have recursion. Double stacking that center zone, though, for some reason. That's so interesting. Now, Rachel, I think, is probably the most technical character in Season 5, probably the most difficult character played in Season 5. Just because she has so many different resource outlets, and especially with things like lightning rod placements, like when they will be optimal in the future. Looks like Shelby's just jamming his lightning rods in the center. I wonder what the reasoning behind that is. Although MiX now does find himself at range 4. That EX Blaze of Fervor, which is a speed 5 range 4 option, is down. The whip crack looks significantly worse than that. MiX opening up his notebook there for some reason. Misclick probably. And yeah, Zolt does have range 4 options in Whip Crack, Blaze Fervor, and Dive, and Gunblaze as well. But they're not really great options. Lobelia will just beat all of them. Yeah, Flying Lobelia will beat all of them. This might be just a prep discard or move in. Okay, yeah, it looks like it's gonna be a move in. No, it's actually change cards, more aggressive prep discard. MiX changes cards 3, drawing 4, maybe hoping to get an EX transform out of it. Unfortunately, does not. Draws a bunch of ultras at least. Does draw a light as well, so that Whip Crack becomes a better option at range 4. But yeah, Zolt really looking to aggressively mulligan his cards for better cards, looks like. Not really sure what he's looking for. I guess he's looking for the second Whip Crack to EX transform it. And then of course Zolt hasn't quite. So while I said that exceeding with Zolt sucks without cross up, the good thing about Zolt, or Hunter of Men rather, is that it's really easy for Hunter of Men to hit random attacks. As here comes another lightning rod coming out here from Shelby. Um, it's that spike drop. What is this? Just don't stand in the middle space if you're just don't stand in the middle space. That's so interesting. Um, just jamming all your lightning rods into one space. You know, just not really spreading your options out. It's just I don't know about this. I don't know about that lightning rod. I just don't know enough about Rachel to know if like this is an acceptable play. I feel like it's not. I feel like you want your lightning rods all spread out. Like MiX will just avoid the center space, and like Rachel doesn't really have a ton of pushing, right? Um, MiX furthermore has the focus, right? So can't even get grasped to that center space just yet, unless he gets red or something. I guess if he gets red, that kind of sucks. But yeah, I mean, Shelby really putting all his eggs in one basket. Interesting enough, he opts to cross over Zolt back to range 3 on the other side of the lightning rods. After Zolt just spent a bunch of resources to move to range 1. Probably just gonna boost light here as Zolt. Yeah, yep. Here comes the light. Now has the spike in play as well. Although Rachel does. Oh, Rachel's whirlwind has not hit the hand yet. That's jammed in the center space along with 2 other cards, of course. Yeah, I mean, so if Rachel were to strike here, I don't think Rachel can strike here because the whip crack just comes out and beats everything, and allows Zolt to exceed as well. On this turn, however, Zolt can even boost Battle Instincts to basically force Rachel to strike, because if Rachel doesn't strike, then that Battle Instincts will mean that Zolt's Exceed will only cost 1 as opposed to the 3 that he needs with the Transform down. Rachel could just like step back strike and attempt to nullify this. Doesn't have enough gauge for the 3 to 5 Ultra, so it'd have to be a step back strike into a Lobelia, which can do the trick. Zolt has no range 5 option, so the step back Lobelia looks pretty good if Shelby has that option afforded to him. Could also be like a step forward something. No, it looks like 2 forced step back and Lobelia. Spending a gauge as well. Shelby really aggressively spending his gauge here. Step back parry. Parries that whip crack. Okay. Interestingly enough, Zolt will now have to spend force to move in. Chooses to move into range 2, where that cross up is now speed 8 and basically uncontestable. But yeah, Zolt spending. So the thing about this, what's been going on so far in the matchup, is that Rachel and Zolt have been spending a lot of turns doing nothing but spending force. A lot of step backs from Rachel, a lot of step forwards from Zolt. The problem with this is that Zolt's drawing cards and like eventually like getting to the transforms, right? And Zolt's, I actually no, I guess the transforms are down, but like I don't know, it just feels like a whole lot of nothing. But the problem with a whole lot of nothing is that eventually Zolt will hit with something, right? Like he's got the light boosted crossed up on deck here. It's a whole lot of nothing, but I feel like Zolt will eventually win a whole lot of nothing. Just by Hunter of Men just being such a good endgame. At least like one of each of the other transforms are down. That being the cross up and the whip crack. So it's not like trivially easy for Zolt to get going. But I don't know, it just feels like a whole lot of dilly-dallying before Zolt will eventually exceed and win the game, you know? And this kind of dilly-dallying works as Rachel works in a lot of matchups, just because a lot of characters don't have that robust endgame that Zolt has. Unfortunately, it is Zolt though, so I feel like Shelby will have to find something new. Otherwise, like he's gonna lose the game to MiX's Hunter of Men, excuse me. But it's just gonna take like an absurd amount of time. It's gonna take like half an hour or something for Zolt to finally win the game, you know? Looks like a jump forward prep. MiX probably still strikes with that cross up just to get it transformed. No, just opts to prep. We of course we know MiX is when he's got the advantage, he's just gonna sit there and prep, making you sweat. So opts not to strike with that cross up just yet. Unfortunately, this means that like Zolt's like weak to a reading here. Down X amount of cards. So let's see if Shelby has that option in hand. We can actually see the hand of MiX, and it is loaded with normals. He's got EX Focus, he's got Spike, and he's got Assault on deck. In the hand there. So maybe maybe if Shelby has it, this is a good time to read. MiX probably almost assuredly low on cards in the deck as well, so the reading has a decent chance of hitting. Okay, we have a jump back reading focus, perhaps. Yeah, the jump back reading focus, that's what we've called it. MiX will take 4. That light gets diffused, assault gets discarded. At least it's not the cross up. Yeah, I mean, just a little bit too passive there for MiX, honestly. It's a little bit too passive. And yeah, that +2 speed gets diffused. Well spotted by Shelby, saying, okay, this is a little bit too much prepping. Let me try to punish that with a reading, and gets it down. Shelby with only 2 cards left in hand, though. So in theory, MiX can just like boost that and then strike with cross up. Yeah, looks like that's exactly what's happening. They heighten reflexes into the cross up. Speed 6. MiX was looking for sweep to see if sweep is an option that can punish this cross up. MiX would be down to 13 HP, but would have the 100 men online. The turn after, MiX is not a type of player to heighten reflexes into spike. So let's see if Shelby has an appropriate punish for this this cross up that's coming at speed 6. No speed 7 options at range 2 left for Rachel with that EX Whirlwind and EX Cross down. So this cross up's gonna hit. It's just whether Rachel can hit back harder. Has amassed a bit of a life lead as well. Zolt actually doesn't have a ton of resources in his hand. So this could be one of those rare games where Zolt's a little bit too slow. Although Rachel doesn't have that many resources in hand either, so unless this is like a wild swing sweep, then bleh. Oh no, it's even worse. It's a flying Lobelia. I have no idea what that card is doing there. I have no idea what that card is beating. Why? I have no idea what this card was played for. Oh no, don't jam your lightning rods there. Yeah, get some variety. Oh no, don't jam them there. You put one, yeah, put one there. I don't know. I just feel like putting your eggs in one basket, as Rachel is just so, yeah, you know. And it's like a one trick kind of answer. So it's just like if they land there, then it's like great, and you'll do 1 billion damage. But it's just like, can you really get them to land there? Can you get 100 men to land there in that center spot? I feel like no. But as Zolt gets his second transform down, that super important cross up. Zolt inspecting discard, maybe checking whether what options are left, because Zolt will be surely exceeding this turn. Shelby, I believe, just prepped on his turn. Yep, so Zolt will exceed this turn. Now that Hunter of Men doesn't have a ton of force to work with, so we'll probably need to prep a couple times before he really gets the Zolt engine going. And yeah, I mean, a lot of dilly-dallying, but unfortunately Zolt got there, and Rachel is just kind of sitting at range 1. Has a bunch of lightning rods in no man's land for the most part. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. While that reading was nice, I guess maybe in hindsight, what would have been better is a reading into like grasping into those lightning rods to deal immense damage, get that huge card, card draw as well, because those lightning rods return to hand. Yeah, as we suspected, a prep came out from MiX after the prep from Shelby, so it's back to Shelby, who finds herself like having to deal 19 damage against Hunter of Men. At the very least, a lot of options are down. I think there's like an eye left for Zolt. There's one eye left, if I'm not mistaken. As okay, Shelby spends looks like 4 force to. First of all, it's not legal. Oh no, it was a boost. Okay, it was. I was about to be okay. Yeah, you can't advance with Rachel's UA. You can, however, boost Bin Lily to teleport to a lightning rod, and looks like Rachel has teleported herself to center lightning rod, which is weird because I feel like there's an eye left from Zolt at range 3, which can contest the sweep boost because. Oh no, Mix successfully spots out the threat of EX Assault. Well done. I thought that Rachel had boosted one assault left. Obviously, we can't check discards with this being Mix's video. But no, Mix correctly identifies the threat of EX Assault, which at speed 8 would beat the eye that is represented by Mix. Mix also doesn't have the Whip Crack transform, so no +1 speed when he initiates. However, you can't really. The problem with EX Assault is you can't really initiate with it on offense because it's just going to get focused out. And moreover, like Zol can just steal advantage back with the focus as well, because he can just tack on extra attacks. Striking with one card, I mean, we have to check to see if there's a spike left. Otherwise, oh no, we don't check whether there's a spike left, and we take 5. Shelby is a player that will play spike. I played a set with him earlier. Maybe earlier this week, maybe last week. Shelby is a player that will play random spike. However, without that +2 speed, this eye is looking pretty free, all things considered. Because there is a spike follow up in Mix's hand to just crush any slower options. Spike and dive are the cards that you want to look at as Hunter of Men. Yeah, that assault's not going to do anything. I wonder if you even need to tack on any damage right now. Usually Mix likes to tack on sweep if he has it, just to get rid of options. Looking at the hand though, maybe Mix wants to move to a better range than 3 now that he's spent his eye. Unfortunately, that eye won't come up in the reshuffle. There's only one eye left for Zolt. He can probably get that Whip Crack transformed if he wants. I feel like maybe he wants to do that. Just get that third transform in, get the extra +1 speed, which can be useful. Nope, Mix says, nope, that 1 damage is good enough for me. Sorry, 3 damage, because of course it's Zolt. So his eyes will do 1 extra damage for each card in the transformation area. I guess turnless, his eye also does that. Of course, it's now Mix's advantage. However, he doesn't really have the best looking hand. That's why I kind of wanted to see him transform that Whip Cracks. That way he can just prep the turn afterward. But I guess that's wasn't meant to be. Mix actually looking and strikes with that Whip Crack because he doesn't believe Assault's in hand. However, is Assault in that deck? No, it's not. That I guess one way to strike is just that with that Whip Crack. Okay, so yeah, that raw Whip Crack will do 3 damage. We'll play the Focus to draw a card. And that's probably. Oh no, we'll actually play the Grasp as well to push Rachel into the corner. So I mean, not the most valuable turn there, but Mix gets the third transform out, the +1 speed. And Rachel finds herself in the corner, even life totals, but only has one card in her hand to speak of. And Rachel is an expensive character that doesn't really have a lot of economy, so. Looks like it's gonna be Prep City for a little bit, for Rachel, unfortunately. Surely there's no way that you can strike here. I wonder. In theory, you could strike with Assault, but I feel like if Assault was in Rachel's hand, she would have played Assault to counter, especially after we saw her play the Assault to try to beat that eye. I feel like Shelby would have had a second assault, or like would have played that second assault, but no, assault's just super unlikely to have in hand because I feel like you defend with the assault in a lot of cases as well. So yeah. Shelby thinking about reshuffling here. Just feel like that's really slow, but I guess Mix only has 3 cards in hand. We'll probably have to prepare, especially because we saw that lackluster turn where Mix did not get advantage. Looks like a change cards coming out here. Drawing the Tiny Lobelia and the block. We'll draw 2 more cards on top of that. One for the change cards and one for the end of turn. MiX probably just has to prepare here. Look at this hand. It's not doing anything for him. Yeah, there's the prep. No sources of advantage left in his hand, which is interesting enough. So, in theory, Rachel does have a small window here where she can strike. The only problem is, does Rachel know that she has a small window here where she can strike? It's incredibly difficult to identify these small windows. Boosting that +1 speed on initiative will also allow Rachel to gain advantage as well. We'll get teched out as a result. Don't MiX unhappy to lose a strike that way. Now draws the light as well for the turn after. Back to Rachel here. Again, MiX is a little bit caught on not the best looking hand for Hunter of Men. The only problem is Rachel is a character that doesn't have a lot of economy, and furthermore, like, can you even know that Zolt doesn't have a good hand? Zolt loves to prep. MiX loves to prep, especially on Zolt as well. Tech is not an uncommon play there on that last turn. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be. I think Rachel just opting to prep again. Now MiX will boost that light. Gets teched. MiX will now just prep again. Surely, like what? Like, you're not striking with the cross. You're just prepping again. Yeah, there you go. Finally has a source of advantage in his hand in the form of the assault. Has the spike in hand to pop any armor that's Rachel, any armor guard that Rachel might throw. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the best looking hand, all things considered, as far as speed is concerned. However, he can just add +1 speed to anything. With that Mad Dog transformation, I believe it's called. Is it called Mad Dog? I actually can't actually see what it's called. I think it's actually not called Mad Dog. I don't know what it would be called then if it's not Mad Dog, though. Whatever. It's the transform on Whip Crack that gives you +1 speed when you initiate a strike. Rachel finds herself in the corner as well, which was done by that grasp like 4 turns ago. Okay, interesting. The boost on Flying Lobelia is played for some reason. I wonder if that deters MiX from actually doing something. I actually can't read what that boost on Flying Lobelia is. I think it's like a pull or push 1 or 2. Excuse me. It's a before push 1 or 2. But yeah, it looks like the Mad Dog transformation, or however we choose to call it, is being played here. Shelby was thinking of lining up an EX. Nope, just opposite Wild Swing. Cross will beat that, quote unquote, beat that electric chair. So we'll move back to range 5. We'll take. Oh, actually, it looks like Power was boosted on the cross instead of that. The only problem is it's going to be a little bit tough for MiX to gain advantage without spending a lot of cards. That before means that unless he stuns out that electric chair, he's getting pushed. Maybe he just takes it and gets pushed to range 7 or range 6. A little bit of an interesting decision there. Because he could just not interact with the electric chair at all. That electric chair won't be stunned. And then Rachel will get to push 1 or 2. The only problem is if she pushes 1, what's the answer to Tiny Lobelia? You just like take it? I don't know. MiX really, really letting the world know that he's unhappy with this electric chair wild swing. Looks like it's ruined his plans somewhat. Because yeah, you can't execute like a fanatical purification into an assault without taking damage from the electric chair in response. And yeah, MiX just says, okay, you win. And Shelby pushes Zolt to range 7, so no Tiny Lobelia threat. So, Zolt can now just sit here for a little bit, take a little bit of a breather until he's ready to move in. I guess Rachel can, in theory, UA strike there from range 7. But not happening. Just decides to prep. I wonder if Zolt spends Force to move in. Could spend 2 Ultras to move to range 3, where that eye is a powerful threat. Think about boosting Battle Instincts easily enough. Oh, Mad Dog is the attack transformation that we see. Nope, Zolt will just boost Defend at range 7, interestingly enough. A little bit low on cards, but I don't think Deck Out's gonna play a big deal. As Spike Drop gets boosted again, so another. Shelby really liking these Spike Drops and puts that Lightning Rod 2 spaces in front of Zolt. I don't think Zolt was ever gonna stand there. To be fair, I think if Zolt's moving, he's moving really far in. And yeah, that defend boost is interesting because I guess it's not really interesting. It's just to defend against the Lobelias, which only do 3 damage. But still, it means 1 less defend for Hunter of Men to work with to break guard. To break defenses, excuse me. Assuming there's a big movement turn coming in at some point. Is MiX thinking about boosting Fanatical Purification? I think if he boosts Fanatical Purification, Rachel just like steps up Wild Swings even. That's not even a bad play either. No, Zolt opting for the change card 0. Okay. True taxi meta here. On display for you guys. The change card 0 at range 7. Just what you guys asked for. I know you guys were clamoring for it previously, so I'm happy to give you what you the people deserve. A change card 0 in a tournament game at range 7 as Hunter of Men. Just as it was designed. Anyway, back to Shelby. Range 7, nothing hits, but of course the step up strike will hit from Rachel. Rachel does have a full hand as well. No, I just boost that electric chair. Will do a little bit of damage if Zolt finds himself at range 7 for some reason at cleanup. I don't think Zolt will find himself at range 7 at cleanup phase, but I mean it's kind of just a stally move. We're seeing both these players stall after the change card 0. So back to Hunter of Men here. Hunter of Men does have an out here with reading. And the King George gets discarded as well. So not only was that a stall move, it was also a stall move that forced a discard. So Zolt can like read something into can like read dive into. No, there's nothing because the only option is Gunblaze, and you don't really want to be spending a Gunblaze for that. Although Zolt is in theory running low on cards, only has 12 cards left in his deck. Maybe that Gunblaze isn't looking so good. But will just be the spending 2 force in the form of that Fanatical Purification move to range 5. Ritual immediately strikes. This is one of the Lobelias. This Lobelia will do 5 damage with the after. So, I mean, focus, sure. It's the tiny Lobelia. Zolt will take 3. That card will return to hand. Okay, we'll actually take 2 because of the defend boost. Focus just means Zolt doesn't get pushed. Lobelia will do that thing, and then that card will actually be placed down as a cleanup, as a lightning rod. The other card gets placed. The top card of this card gets placed with flying, and tiny gets placed itself. Or places itself, rather. Zolt finds itself at range 5, however. Of course, nothing hits at range 5. I'll have to move in a little bit further. I wonder what the reasoning behind moving it. I guess you can't move to range 3 ever, because you get pushed onto range 4. But, wonder why you didn't move closer than that. Rachel, of course, staying in the corner, so those dives from the Hunter of Men won't actually be able to dodge anything. Needs those spikes, or to just pop power manually with the Mad Dog, with the help of things like Mad Dog. Yeah, a little bit of an interesting endgame that Hunter of Men finds himself in. Bunch of lightning rods just sitting menacingly at center, so Zolt really can't sit at range 4. Range 3 is okay, there's only 1 lightning rod there. But Zolt unable to find the eye, the second copy of eye that he needs. Of course, the first one was caught in the gauge, or was caught in the play area, not even in the gauge, before the reshuffle. And Zolt thinking really, really hard about this. Deck pressure also on Hunter and Men, although, like I said, I don't think that matters too much. Surely Hunter Men has to move in. Could Hunter Men... Is there ever a world where Hunter Men moves away? Lord, what's going on over there? What are they doing? What have they done? I feel like something weird just happened with the... Okay, yeah, I guess something weird did happen because they're now rewinding time. Okay, this is unsanctioned. What is going on here? Hopefully this loads in well. This is not loaded in well so far. Okay. We got Banana Bread in the chat. This looks acceptable. No idea what happened there. Luckily, nothing was lost because this is a tournament match, and we don't want to be doing shenanigans like that. But no, it looks like this reload worked in fine. MiX is loaded in okay as well. Shelby's the host, so he should be good. Yeah, be more careful, people. Be more careful. Yeah. Anyway, still Hunter Men's turn, I believe, to move in, and looks like he's gonna be spending 4 force to move into range 1. Yeah, I mean, a move in was imminent. It was just how far was Zolt willing to move in? I guess the answer is up to range 1. Looking at Zolt, though, Zolt really is... oh, that does not line up properly at all. Yeah, that's Street Fighter Matt. I feel like the snap points are all kind of whack when it comes to where they are in relation to the lines of the spaces on the board. MiX just zooming that in for us. You can see Rachel's like, oh, where's Rachel? I have no, like, Rachel's not even close. Anyway, back to Rachel here. Boosting light at range 1. Threatening something like that spike drop at speed 7. Looks pretty alright when she's initiating. The problem is she's not initiating now. I think Zolt's going to be striking here, looking for blocks. Is Zolt going to initiate with that range 1 speed 7 cross and then dive in and then something like that? Like cross dive assault. Looks like a fine play. The only problem is, in theory, it can be countered by a guarded move. No, Zolt's going to be striking with that gun blaze. And Rachel will just dive out of the corner. A little bit unfortunate there. Of course, we on commentary did kind of forget that light was boosted in play. Sorry, it's been a long commentary. We're already almost 1.5 hours in. Where do the lightning spikes from the middle go? Oh, I think they're just like underneath all the cards and like make it look like they're hidden. So yeah, Rachel now boosts Assault after getting out of the corner with the dive, moving back to range 7. Looks at that deck pressure building from Zolt. Only, what, 6 cards? 9 cards left. Okay, 9 is more than I thought there would be. And yeah, Zolt has to spend more resources to move in eventually. Just opts for the prepare action this time around. And the only problem is with these prepares coming out, there can be... that second reading from Rachel Alucard looks really good now. Like a reading... If you read an assault or a dive and you hit it, like you've... A dive especially. Like if you read a dive, those lightning rods that are placed on center square. I guess this is why you place lightning rods on center square. It's like maybe 40 minutes ago we were criticizing the lightning rod placements before, but now all of a sudden because of the passive nature of both of these characters, there are now 5 lightning rods, 3 in the center space, of course, 1 on each side as well. Range that center space is definitely a no-go. So it looks like I actually quite like Shelby's lightning rod placements now that I've seen like what he's trying to do later. They looked a little bit weird. They looked a little bit funky when you're putting 3 on the center without the ones on the sides, but now it's looking much better. Especially with the help of that spike drop boost as well. Oh, interestingly, did Rachel? I did not realize Rachel was under deck pressure too. Mix just looked at Rachel's deck count, and Rachel's down to 8 cards as well on deck. So this is down the wire, folks. I mean, Zolt can obviously just win in 2 combats here, but this is down the wire. I don't even think if as Rachel can even afford to prep. We can afford to prep maybe once, but after that, I don't know. Deck pressure is a real deal, and Rachel as a zoner does not have a range 7 or range 8 option. She can, however, move and strike, but that's expensive. It looks like Rachel just opts for the prepare action here. Those readings will be coming into play soon enough, I have a feeling. Zolt just striking here. Striking with the block, fine, whatever. Striking here is basically just so you don't have to draw more cards. Surely Rachel just like plays a card from her hand. You can't really afford to wild swing because it can put you in a bad spot. If you wild swing an ultra, you're dropping not 1 card but 2 cards. Yeah, block. Okay, I mean very cool range 7 gameplay here, coming out from both competitors. Blocks are down. Maybe this was just a ploy from MiX to get a block down from Rachel Alucard's side. Because a block can, in theory, just like negate a bunch of damage. Because there's only 1 spike left from MiX, so MiX can't actually pop blocks that well without that second spike in hand. It'd be really funny to change card 0 from Rachel Alucard right now. MiX can't even boost that cross to run in because he's going to be running in right into that middle spot. He has to move it. He has to like move a spike. He has to move a space first, and then boost cross. But that's a 2-turn process. MiX just checking options that are left. Maybe for things that he's going to read in the future. I believe he has 1 reading left, if I'm not mistaken. Checks those assaults and those dives. Sees both dives are down. 1 assault is down. I wonder if Shelby is going to come up with a reading this turn, though. Maybe not this turn, because he hasn't checked the discards yet. But, like a reading dive would actually be catastrophic. It would be so bad. Shelby really taking his time. This is a tense end game right here. Yeah. I mean, not much more to say. This is a really tense end game. I wonder if it is going to be Shelby going for the reading here. Reading just seems so good. Maybe he's just waiting for the right turn to pull the trigger. Finally taking a look at that discard. MiX on the front side reshuffle caught himself with too many normals in hand as well. So we know that MiX has 2 assaults left. I believe he only has 1 dive left. So reading dive is much more heavily... is a much heavy reward. Oh no, Rachel decides to move to range 5 and strike. Okay, so this is going to be the Flying Lobelia at range 5. Really expensive turn here from Rachel. It just gets crossed out even. It's like a really expensive turn from Rachel there. Spending 3 force, spending 4 force even. Just to get another lightning rod marker down on a Flying Lobelia that turned out to be quite obvious, especially when you when you have to move 2 instead of moving 1. Like when you have to move 2 like that, it's just so obvious what that card is. It would have been really sick if it was a mix-up Tiny Lobelia, but not meant to be there. Now Rachel, the interesting thing is that Rachel did spend a whole bunch of force for that. However, Rachel does have like this huge line of lightning rods in front of her. MiX does not have that move 1 take another action boost either. Nope, we'll just have to prep here. Only 5 cards left in MiX's deck, I believe, to maybe Rachel 7. Yep. Does Rachel not have a reading? That'd be embarrassing. For me, I guess, because I just haven't been counting cards. It's Rachel opts for the CC0. Wow. That's the kind of gameplay we like to see here. Opts for the CC0. Oh, we saw that Rachel had both focuses left, and is just choosing not to play them, or not choosing not to play them. Doesn't have them. It's gonna be a parry focus coming out from MiX, I'm assuming. Yep. Has the Rachel has the focus in hand, huh? Weird. Now I'm just really confused as to what's going on. Maybe she doesn't want Zolt so close, and is just like full sending it into the deck out plan that he's trying to employ with the change card zeros and the what have you. Um, in that case, do we see like Rachel boost like assault or something? Is it that dire? Do we see another change card zero come out from Rachel? We see another change card zero come out from Rachel. Okay, well the onus is on. Okay, so Rachel has very clearly said the onus is on you, MiX, to try to come in. This is probably the turn that you want to be coming in as a hunter of men. You do have EX Assault. You have an eye left in your discard as well. I believe one of those whirlwinds is caught in the lightning rods, so EX Whirlwind is not an option. No, MiX just boosting power. Oh, he's threatening the Ultra as well. The Close 8 Ultra. That's okay. That's a play. Well, the problem is it loses to Tiny Lobelia. Are both Tiny Lobelias down? Surely you just step back here. Wait. Oh, Rachel is jumping forward. Is Rachel doing a jump forward strike? What is she striking with? Jump forward reading. Reading assault or dive almost assuredly. Into what, like sweep? Sweep. One sweep is in the deck. Yeah, I mean this reading is almost assuredly gonna hit. We just don't know. We just don't know how good it's gonna be, right? Because we see both assault and dive in the hand. This is the win con that we were calling out for Rachel earlier. I guess MiX is just deciding whether you place one or you place two. He probably just plays one. Needs to save the second one. And yeah, it is going to be that into the 7 power spike, pulling that Ultra back into hand. Unfortunately, what this means is that Zolt has that eye. And wait, did Rachel not pull back the lightning rod? What is going on? Why did Rachel not pull back the lightning rod? I guess they're discussing it now. Huh. Weird. MiX looking for Cross, of course, the card that will just stall out completely. I have no idea what they're discussing. Well, I can find out what they're discussing because I do have the audio for this game, I believe. But yeah. So the thing about this kind of reading play is that it does force Zolt in, which is not something I mentioned before, but like you are putting Zolt into like your line of fire. So it's like maybe a reading that into like a Lobelia is better, but looks like it's gonna be a +1 power. 1 to 3 5 7. Oh no, Shelby has a wild swing too. So this is gonna be a 5 power eye. So it draws a card. So I can't actually do too many of those, which is funny. It's actually really funny. We'll probably execute the sweep. No, we'll execute the dive first, and then we'll execute. Actually, I don't even know if he can execute the sweep. Maybe he strikes with the sweep. I guess and technically he only needs this much damage, especially with the wild swing grasp swung away. So that's gonna. I mean, MiX is doing math right now to see whether he has enough damage. It looks like he does, because yeah, so Rachel's down to 6. So this cross up is gonna do. And I mean, I guess damage is not really a big deal because you always have Mad Dog in play, and this is probably gonna be it unless the block gets wild swung. And no, that's not gonna do it. Rachel now on deck pressure as well. Yeah, and cross up will break the speed tie, and that is GG's. Zolt takes it in the end. Unfortunately, I guess that reading play ended up being horribly catastrophic because it brought Zolt in, right? So we called out reading as a potential win con, but it actually ended up being the losing con because It brought Zolt into a range where you didn't have to spend resources to strike. If Rachel was somehow able to grab advantage after that, which she can if she boosts one of the Lobelias, I think has a +1 speed on it. But yeah, unfortunately, it just meant Zolt was in at range 3 with that eye in hand, and I mean that's always going to be a bad time, right? So yeah, MiX takes this at 2-0. Yeah, I guess Rachel. I guess the correct play for Rachel was like Rachel committed to the. What's interesting about that reading is that Rachel committed to the line of I'm gonna try to deck Zolt out, but then backed off at the last minute and then like decided to go for 5 random damage that didn't matter. As looks like these guys are having a little bit of post game chat. I'm probably gonna end the commentary here, but yeah, they had like Shelby went for the deck out plan and then bailed on it at the last second and then lost for it. Because I mean, what's MiX gonna do at range 5, right? Or what MiX gonna do at range 7 even? Like maybe Rachel that turn instead of going for a reading into meaningless damage should have just backed up, right? And forced Zolt to come in, especially with all these traps in the middle here. But unfortunately, it's not the way the cookie crumbled. MiX takes this at 2-0 with his Mei Lian beating Cammy, and now his Hunter Men beating Richard Alucard. He will move on to the semifinals where he fights Fakey. This is a match that's already happened. You can check it out on the channel. I believe I uploaded it earlier today even. So you can check out and see how he fares against another Mei Lian player. And interestingly enough, let's see. Maybe a little Mei Lian mirror action. One of the most boring mirrors out there. Who knows? Or I guess one of the most variance heavy mirrors out there who can draw more EXs. Or not most, but more variance heavy. Yeah, I mean, only one way to find out. Go check out that video if you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, this was a quarterfinals match in Moriarty's Dream Match tournament. I don't know if I properly introduced the match between MiX and Shelby. MiX takes us at 2-0. Thanks to MiX again for providing the video feed for us to commentate over. A little bit of a slog of a game. Nearly 2 hours for this commentary. But yeah, MiX takes us at 2-0. Shelby unfortunately eliminated single elimination tournament. What can you do? But other than that, don't really have much more to say. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like and a comment and a subscribe if you feel so inclined. And we'll see you for the next one. The next one will actually probably be just the finals match between our two competitors, since the semis are both done. Hopefully I can catch the finals match. It would be kind of lame if I didn't catch the finals match after catching every other match. But yeah, we'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye. Take care.